Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's explainer. We are going to completely master Modbus RTU communication for the Schneider Electric Altivar 320 variable frequency drive. Honestly, whether you're looking at a VFD for the very first time or you're a seasoned automation engineer just looking to streamline your network, understanding exactly how to get these drives talking, it's an absolute game changer. So here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with theory and first principles, move into the essential parameters, go through a setup tutorial, look at a real-world diagnostics case study, and wrap it all up with our key takeaways. Let's kick things off with Section 1, Theory and First Principles, Understanding the Master-Slave Architecture. So why do we even care about Modbus RTU? Well, it operates on a really strict master-slave architecture over an RS-485 network. You can kind of think of it like a highly structured corporate meeting. The programmable logic controller, or the PLC, well, that's the boss, the master. The AT320 drives, they're the employees, or the slaves. And the rule here is incredibly simple. The employees only speak when they are directly asked a specific question. So the master sends a structured RTU data frame to a very specific register address on a specific drive, and literally only that drive responds. No one talks over each other. It's incredibly orderly. And this right here perfectly illustrates why we use it. I mean, if you look at standard analog terminal control, you're out there hardwiring every single individual signal. Run, stop, speed reference, fault indication. It's just messy, right? And super time-consuming. But with a Modbus RTU network, you replace all of that complex, bulky wiring with a single serial RS-485 cable. Plus, that cable is highly resistant to the kind of electrical noise you always see on a factory floor. It's clean, it's efficient, and it is highly scalable. Moving right along to Section 2. Essential Parameters. Mapping the ATV320 brain. So now that we've got the theory down, here are the exact parameters we need to actually configure. Consider this your personal cheat sheet for the Modbus menu. First up is the Modbus address, or ADD. Now this defaults to off out of the box, but it absolutely needs a unique number. Next is the Modbus baud rate, TBR. This is essentially the speed of your communication, and it defaults to 19.2 kilobits per second. Then, we have the Modbus format, TFO, which defines the data structure itself. The factory setting here is 8E1. That just means 8 data bits, even parity, and 1 stop bit. And finally, the Modbus timeout, TTO. This tells the drive exactly how long to wait for a master command before throwing a fault. It defaults to 10 seconds. Now, here's the absolute crucial part. Your drive's baud rate and format must exactly match your PLC's settings, no exceptions. Once they match, your PLC can write a control word to a specific address in the drive's register map. That's what gives it the definitive digital command to start, stop, or change speed. And hey, regarding that ADD parameter, the Modbus address, check this out. A single Modbus network can theoretically support up to 247 uniquely addressed slave devices. Yeah, 247. That means from just one single PLC master, you can control up to 247 distinct ATV320 drives, all on a single daisy-chained cable. It's pretty wild when you think about it. Okay, Section 3. It's setup tutorial time, configuring the drive interface. So let's actually move over to the interface and see how to plug these parameters in. If you are physically standing right in front of the drive, here's the exact menu path you're going to follow. Step 1. Press the Enter key. You just push in the jog dial for that. That gets you into the root configuration, or CONF menu. Step 2, you're going to navigate down to the full menu. And step 3, just scroll until you find the communication submenu. You'll see it labeled as COM-. Once you're inside there, you just select the Modbus Field Bus menu, and boom, you'll find all those parameters we just talked about. Now, when you actually go to change a value, let's say you're setting your ADD Modbus address to 15, you'll use the drive's built-in controls. If you happen to be using the graphic display terminal, you can use those double arrow keys F2 and F3. That lets you quickly select the exact digit you want to tweak. Then you simply rotate the jog dial to increase or decrease that number. Honestly, it makes modifying parameters incredibly fast once you get the muscle memory down. Let's pivot to Section 4, Diagnostics, Case Study, Troubleshooting the Network. You know, setup is great when it works smoothly, but what happens when it doesn't? Let's imagine a real-world scenario. You've got 6 ATV320 drives on a single RS-485 bus, all being controlled by a Schneider M221 PLC. But suddenly, out of nowhere, you start getting these frustrating, intermittent communication drops. The machines are stopping randomly, production is halting, it's a nightmare. Well, instead of just guessing, the ATV320 actually gives you a hidden toolkit to solve exactly this kind of problem. What you do is dive into the drive's monitoring menu, navigate over to Communication, and enter the Modbus Network Diagnostic menu. You'll see it coded as M-N-. Right inside this diagnostic menu, there are two absolutely crucial counters you need to keep your eyes on. First, M1CT. This one just counts the number of valid, properly processed Modbus frames. But the real lifesaver here, that's M1EC. This is the Modbus Network CRC errors counter. Think about our engineer from the case study trying to diagnose those intermittent drops. They don't have to guess anymore. If they watch that M1EC counter and see it climbing rapidly, well, that points directly to electrical interference or maybe some wiring issues corrupting the data packets on the network cable. It is literally a built-in smoking gun for troubleshooting. But hey, apart from physical wiring interference, I've got a quick question for you. When you're setting up these networks from scratch, what do you think is the single most common reason a Modbus network just completely fails to communicate? Take a second. Think about what we discussed a few minutes ago regarding the master and the slaves. Any guesses?
All right, let's wrap this up with Section 5, Key Takeaways, Best Practices, and Pitfalls.
So let's answer that question and summarize everything we've learned today. The absolutely most common failure? It's assigning duplicate slave addresses. Think about it. If two drives both have their ADD parameter set to 5, and the master asks 5 a question, both of those drives try to talk at the exact same time. It causes a massive bus collision, and boom, you get a total communication loss. So rule number 1, always ensure unique addresses. To quickly recap the rest, remember that Modbus is a strict master-slave system. Always ensure your baud rate and format match the PLC exactly. Oh, and definitely make sure you have termination resistors installed at both physical ends of your RS-485 bus. That prevents nasty signal reflections. And finally, use that MBD diagnostic menu to spot any interference via those CRC errors. And finally, I just want you to keep this in mind. While the Modbus network is busy passing the digital commands, writing to the control word to tell the drive when to run and at what speed, the ATV320's internal intelligence is still doing the heavy lifting. As the manual perfectly notes, the drive itself controls the mechanical speed by compensating for slip, adjusting all those physical dynamics in real time. Basically, the network is just the messenger. The drive is still the absolute master of the motor. So, there you have it. You now understand the theory, the exact parameters, the setup paths, and even those secret diagnostic menus of the ATV320. Now that you have the tools to troubleshoot pretty much any communication fault and seamlessly connect these drives, what kind of complex automation network are you going to configure next? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and honestly, I cannot wait to see what you build out there. Catch you next time.